Okay, we're ready to go. We're rolling.
Okay, great. All right, so what I like to do, I'm just following exactly how Nikki did. We're gonna get all of our supplies before we actually start doing it in the room. So we got our 4 sheets. We got our towels. Are they in the other room? Okay, 2 dry and 10 wet. So you're going to need to take out of your hot towel cabbie this. And this isn't even going to be used for your treatment. You can put it in a drawer. We're just going to throw it in a drawer for now, okay? Because you're going to use the top of this also, because it's such a large setup. You're going to need to put your 2 dry towels up here and your dry brush and your paintbrush, because this is too loaded. You can see, look at this. So because when they come in, they're going to look at this pretty little setup here, right? And it's going to be filled with the hot oil. You're going to have your scrub in here. You're going to have a bath soak, and then this is going to be pretty full with the body butter. The body butter is used at the very last, at the very end of the appointment. So these things are kind of over here. You have your 2 dries, and you heat them up on here because you're going to be putting hot stones in those towels on the feet. And I have to show you how to wrap them. It's real easy. So let's get some big towels in here. Here we go. Here we go. Here's 2. So I'm going to teach you how to fold these little things so you can, it's super easy, just half it. Your hot rock will be tucked in here, and then pretend the foot is facing up this way. Okay, your rock is in here. You're going to wrap it around the plantar so their little foot is hanging out up here, okay? So we'll go over that again. But this is part of the setup where we have the towels getting hot up here, because we want a hot towel in addition to a hot stone. So we just leave them up here, and then Nikki would always have these up here as the reminder. You have your hot water right over here, or you can have it in the sink, wherever you want. Because you're going to use the hot water, and you're going to grab scrub, and you're going to make it warm, and you're going to hydrate it, because this particular scrub for the coconut is super stiff. You actually have to add hot water and even some oil sometimes, and you kind of before you put it on. Okay, so back to, so this is how fancy it would look. Also,
With the cover lid on.
Right. So we're going to go back to, remember, 10 hot, wet towels in here. Okay, so now we're going to make our table. So you have your 2 sheets on the bottom, right? Normal, just how we always do it, right? And then now you're going to put your Mylar. Okay, it goes on the side of the table. Make sure it's kind of even on the sides. You don't want this hanging out way up here. You actually want it to be tucked underneath. We don't want any of the Mylar to touch their skin. So now we're going to take our sheet and run it sideways to cover the Mylar. Cover the whole thing. Drape it on the sides. Make sure it's somewhat equal. Woo. Wow. This towel goes down here on the bottom. And then these 2, we're going to go up here. And this is where you make sure that Mylar is not peeking out. So the wrap, so if you see any of this stuff on here, hide it. Because we do have some of these that we're using that we can't use anymore, but we use them for body treatments because it's so messy. Okay, so they are going to lay face down, right, on this. Okay, so now we take our regular setup that we had on the table, That's 2 sheets. You really, and you're gonna bring it all up here. Now this has 2 sheets on it. It's really only supposed to be 1. But remember we had to take apart the bed? So let me just do this. Because this, we're gonna need it after. Okay, back up here. So we always have to start face down. Because if you go in there and they're face up, just have them, just tent it and have them flip over, because it's just easier to start face down, and I'll explain why in a second. Okay, so the reason why it's like this is so that when we come in, you're gonna go ahead and be face down under the sheets, and you tell the person, make sure you're on top of these towels. It's just so that it's more comfortable. You don't have to tell them that per se. But because the Mylar, when you're laying directly on this, it doesn't feel good. These just feel really good because it's fluffy. So it adds a little thickness. So you have your table warmed up, right? Because that's part of the wrap. So, and we're gonna have those little special little cloth things that cover this, the new things, they're great. Okay, so next we go to 5 hot stones. You need 2 large ones for the feet, 2 for the hands, and 1 for the solar plexus. So you can decide what size rocks you want, if they're your whatever, favorite rocks, or I have favorite rocks that I use for these. I use giant ones for the feet. The one that I use for the solar plexus is not too heavy. You know, I don't get the heaviest one. It's a little bit more light. And then for the hands, I have ones that are actually very round, so that, you know, they fit really nicely in their hands. Okay, so those are in here also. So they have to be nice and hot. So when you start everything, so let's go check our list here. You're gonna start with a dry brush. Okay, so they're face down. So we're gonna undrape the back. Okay, and then you don't tuck their little, make sure their hands are out, because you're gonna do the back and the backs of the arms all in the same thing. You're gonna start with the dry brush. And so I like to have the table lifted up pretty high so that most of this visit is us standing up. So I'm gonna lift it up. And then you've done dry brush before, right? Okay, so you know exactly how it is. So we go along the back, you go all, you know, one, and then different directions, right? And then the arms, you know, and so I make sure that when I'm doing the dry brush, you know, I'm going pretty slow, okay, but I'm not going super fast. And then you want to have it real flowy, just as much flow as you want in there. Make sure you get the sides, you know, make it all fancy, okay. So you've got it in one direction. If you want, you can do it in, you don't have to. I like to do that because when I do a dry brush, I want to get it in all different directions. That's just me. Okay, dry brush first. After you're done with dry brush, and if you notice here, you're gonna have, you mix the bath soap with the coconut sugar rub. Remember we talked about the sugar rub being, it's so stiff, it's super thick. So it's mixed together in one of these. So we have all the, you can use it in this one also if you want. It's up to you. I like these. So you can have 2 coconut things if you want. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But, so the scrub needs to be hydrated more. So we mix it with bath soak. Okay, and then you have your hot water over here. So you're gonna scoop, it's all funky, dip it in the hot water. Okay, now you have it, it's a little more hydrated, and then you can do your thing, scrub the back, do the arm, blah, 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 do the hand, you know, don't go too slow though. So this is kind of like the tempo. If you go any slower than that, you're gonna be running really late by the time they're ready to get the shower. Okay, so now we have all the scrub on there. We have to wipe it off. So you're gonna take 1 towel on the back, 1 towel on the arm, 1 towel on this arm. And so you just like how we do it here, we grab the towel and we drag it along the body. Same thing with the hand. It's super messy. That's okay. If there's a little bit left over, it's not the end of the world. Now you're gonna come over to your next product, which is gonna be the paintbrush and the cream scrub. The cream scrub, when you dip it in here, right? And now you're gonna paint it on the body, right? You're gonna paint it. And with the cream scrub, there is a little bit of scrub in it, not very much. It's gonna dry on their body like a paste. So you're gonna have to tell them that. I'm gonna leave this on you, it's gonna dry like a paste. And because they're gonna actually wash it off in the shower, with the washcloth. So we've painted it all over them, in between the fingers, whatever. And then now we can cover this up. We can leave it on, we're not gonna take it off. Now we're gonna do the leg. Okay, so all right, the same thing. You're gonna grab, because sometimes you're gonna be fumbling with the sheets like this because remember, there's this thing. So we're gonna take this. Okay, now we're gonna do the leg. Start over, same thing. Dry brush. And then if you wanna do cross action. Okay, and come over here. You're gonna grab your coconut sugar scrub that already has the bath soak in there, dip it in the hot water, hydrate it, and then you put it on. It's because it's so thick, it's very hard to get off. So make sure your hot towels are almost a little bit more wet than usual, because if they're super wringed out, they're not wet enough to grab the stuff and get it off. So after you lay the towel down, and then you do your real flowy swoop, and then you throw all your dirties in the sink. You come back over here, come back to your cream scrub. This a little goes a long way with this, but it's gonna be about that much in there. So you just paint it. So this is how Nikki was like. She was like paint it just real flowy. She was very, very deliberate about that. So I noticed if I'm gonna run out of something, I usually run out of the cream scrub. So I'll show you how much to use that should be good. So before you paint it on them, kind of try to spare it because it's magical how it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry as the paint. You don't have to tell them each time, but you're gonna have to kind of let them know that we're gonna do this to the whole body. Now we're gonna flip them and do the same thing. All right, so now we flip them, so now they're face up. Once they're face up, it's time to put the hot rocks there. So now they're face up. Before I start doing anything, I'm gonna get the hot rocks and I'm gonna put it under the hands, put it on the solar plexus on top of the blanket. And because the rocks are usually a little too hot, sometimes I'll even have a barrier. So I'll have the rock in here and then I put their hand on top because sometimes they're just too hot. Because when the rocks are sitting on the thing down here, they get really hot. So we're not gonna have a water bath for the rocks. And then you're gonna do the feet. Does this room does that right? Okay. Let me go get the 2 rocks really quick.